is Milton Brown, and I don't know some of you people. And that makes me mad. Because I usually know everyone that's here, but hopefully I'll get to meet you before you leave here. 78 years ago, I was across the road from our present Clyde office, or what used to be our Clyde office, and I was the janitor in Clyde Bank. I was hired at 50 cents a week to build a fire on snowy morning and to sweep out the bank. I took that 50 cents and started a savings account with Clyde Building Loan at that time. From that 78 years ago down to 58 years ago, I came across the street and into a brand new building that we were really proud of. It was the most expensive building in Clyde and the prettiest building in Clyde. I went in there and was observing the beauty of it and just standing around loafing. And a tall fella came in the door dressed up in a suit, and that wasn't too common in Clyde. And from the looks of him, I could tell that he wasn't a barrier, that he would be a depositor. So I immediately asked him if I could help him, because at that time we needed deposits. So we got a conversation started, and somehow it worked around that he told me he was the examiner with the bank. And I thought, well, I better watch what I say. But anyway, time went on, and come to find out that he might want a job. And he had just told me he'd just come back from the Methodist Assembly at Legsy and Luster. And I figured, you know, if he's a Methodist, he's a fire fellow. Amen. We kept talking. He told me that he'd like to talk about a job. And I told him that we knew Mr. Robinson, who was head of the Savings Loan Corporation at that time over all of North Carolina. I says, you go back to Raleigh and tell Mr. Robinson that you want to come to Clyde and examine our books. And I says, if you like our books, the condition of them, I says, we would entertain hiring you. The reason I told him that so quick, we were looking for a president for about 8 or 10 years. And my wife took supper for I don't know how many candidates. And they'd come in and they'd like everything, and then one of them went back to Charlotte after he had agreed to come to work. And he said Clyde was too small. So that left that out. Another one came and he told me that his wife just didn't like a small town. And a fellow from Alabama came and we hired him. He went back to Alabama and they raised his salary. He came back to us and told us he couldn't accept that they'd raised his salary. I called the board members around and I said, we're going to have to raise this man's salary if we keep him. Raise his salary, and he went back and they raised it again. Anyway, to make a great story short, Ed came back, I don't know how he got the examination set up so fast, but it wasn't but about 6 weeks till he was back in Clyde examining the books. And I took him around and introduced him to most of the directors. At that time, every one of the directors lived within a quarter of a mile of the office. It didn't take long to get them in. So, talked about him a while, and I said, Philip, I said, we better hire this fellow. I said, this young man's been here that I think will stay with us. So, we voted unanimously to hire him. Next thing came was the salary. We kind of had a hard time agreeing on the salary because the salary has been applied 48 years ago. It isn't too well. A lot of people from down south. But anyway, it's been a wonderful 48 years. Ed and I have been pretty close on several occasions, and through the years, we talked first aid and home manners and so forth. And recently, we had a meeting, and they wanted each person to say how he had been associated with the individual and what effect he had on him and so forth. And just how he impacted my life. Well, I think he just made me a better man by being associated with him. And by being a better man, I've learned more and been more associated with other people. And he had courage. Back in the 80s, we had a time when interest rates, we had people that said he borrowed money at 16%, and we didn't have the money to make it, so we had to put them in loans so we got enough deposit to make the loan. At this time, it was scary to me that he was crazy. He never showed me any fight whatsoever with interest rates when I was a grade and savings rates. We couldn't get savings anymore. But not having interfered at another time when the only time in the history of the bank that we lost money for 2 or 3 months scared me to death. Henry Randolph, but we just looked the board up, flat in the face, didn't bother him to believe it. He was very crazy. They wanted to know how he affected his state. You know how he affected his state. He held every office he could think of. He's been on every board that I can think of. And has really shown himself a leader in saving the nation, and particularly in our own country. Funny story is, for a minute, that'll come just a little bit later. Character, unique character. The most out of him, the way I would put his character, the one word would be honesty. He is honest. He's always been honest with me, with the board. And when some new members came to the board one time, I said, Philip, I said, you don't have to be worried about anything. I said, this man will tell you the truth, and he will show you the right way. Don't be afraid of what he says and does. So, honesty is the way I would put it. Now, you've seen all the pictures there, but when territory around Clyde, he became accustomed to it as far as the terrestrial situation was. But it took him just a little while to get accustomed to the people's way, different how it was different from that around Charlotte. So, I'm not saying that he's perfect, but he made a few stumbles entertaining some of the local people. But all these things are good about it. If you come to Clyde, you'll see 4 buildings there that show up above the rest of them. Ed Broadwell is responsible in a way of all 4 of them, although he wasn't there in some of them. But the 4 buildings in Clyde represent more than 50% of the total valuation of the town of Clyde. I made this point to the town of Clyde when I was trying to get them to change their deposits and go forth over to Clyde. And they looked at me in astonishment, 50% of the valuation, I think we need to put our deposit review. So they did. All this, you've heard all this, you don't want to hear more of that, so I've got to go on to another thing that some of you that haven't been around that long, you haven't heard, but some of you are going to have to sit through it again. In fact, I don't know what year it was, but anyway, the North Carolina League decided they were going to hold a convention on board ship. Boy, that suited an old sailor like me. So Ed had just come on the board a little time before that. He and I roomed together. One on the side of Ford, Oasis Cruise Line out of Wilmington, went down to Puerto Rico and so forth. We got to going down through the Caribbean, and all of a sudden the ship hit something that sounded like the whole front end had come out of it, you know. And Ed had the top mock, and it was dark. And he hit the floor feet first, like this. He says, "Look, what was that?" I said, "Yeah, that was one of those Caribbean whales." I got back in bed, and I didn't know a person could eat as much as me. But if you've ever been on a cruise, and I know all of you have, there's plenty to eat. We had a special friend that was a server, and Ed kept that fella going. I thought, I didn't know one person could eat it. But we had a great time on board that ship and had a great meeting and accomplished something. But we're called into Puerto Rico, and I don't know, I think Ed found this out, I didn't. He decided that was going over to one of the casinos and have a little outing. Well, the ship was over here on this side of the water,